Cheers and welcome to the Passport Files. I'm your host, Brian Clark. Today on the show, I am so excited to have Kristy Wenz. Kristy is the senior managing editor at Vino Head, wine educator, writer, consultant, harvester, world traveler, and new Oregon resident, and so much more. Hi, Kristy, and welcome to the Passport Files.
Thank you. How are you, Brian?
I am great. I'm well rested. I've been at home, but someone has been traveling, and it's not
I
me.
have. And you travel quite a bit too. So,
I have,
yeah.
but I thought I traveled a lot until I met you, and then I'm like, oh, I don't do anything in comparison,
Yeah, it ebbs and flows. It ebbs and flows.
right? Right. So tell us about yourself. Who are you, and what do you do?
So I do a little bit of everything. Like I said, I just moved to Oregon, Willamette Valley. I'm from Chicago, born and raised. I got into wine probably actually working in wine about 7 years ago. But it's always kind of been a passion my whole life. Well, drinking life anyway. And then I kind of took the leap a couple of years ago and made it a full-time thing. And I in wine, there's no money in wine when you go into wine. So it's kind of like, I do a bunch of little things and it keeps my interest perked. So everything from, editing the publication to teaching to working in a vineyard, working in a cellar, traveling around and writing about the wine regions that I visit. And so anything and everything that I can do that gets my hands kind of dirty and into wine, I'm into it.
Tell us about that. Now, I know you said there's no money in wine, so
Yeah,
that's a big jump.
it
When
is
you
a big
jump
jump.
into something that you love, it's a passion, but there's no money. Like, tell us about that
Oh,
process.
it's a hustle. It was a long process. It took about, I want to say a good 5 years of really kind of soul searching. I did a career boot camp that really kind of helped me hone in on what I wanted to do, where my skills were, and where my passions were, and to kind of help those match up. But it was a big leap and it took a lot of saving and self sacrifice. And thankfully, I have a good support system too that helps out. But it's a hustle, the constant hustle. It's, fighting the next project, fighting the next gig, but I wouldn't trade it for the world.
We first met on Instagram, and
Yeah.
I see you on there, and you are everywhere doing everything. Vino Head to American Wine School.
Yeah.
I mean, you do a little bit of everything. So what is your favorite part about, like, what's your favorite part about the wine industry?
That's a good question.
The drinking?
Yeah, that's certainly part of it. Yeah. Gosh. I I get it's so many things. It's the stories about behind the wines, the winemakers, the growers. It's the fact that there's just always something to learn. Like it's a never-ending learning process. Like you could, even the masters of wine, they don't know everything either. Like there's just always something new to learn or something more to learn. And you can really take it down any avenue that you want. Like you could take it down the science route. You could take it down the biology route, the chemistry route. You can go the art route. You can go, architecture, even with all the wineries. I mean, there's so many different aspects that are a part of the wine community and the community itself. It's just a fun group of people around the world. It's a way to connect with people, I think, and it breaks down walls and barriers and, just makes conversations easier. And when you have like a common jumping point, and it seems like everybody that's into wine is passionate about it, right? So you have that kind of same shared passion about something and it just opens the world up and it's amazing.
So I love that so much. And so let's circle back to you. You said you're a Chicago native.
Yeah.
Just moved to Oregon. So what has that been like? That
Whew,
is a big jump. Tell me about
that
that.
has been a big jump. It still kind of feels like a vacation, mostly because I've been traveling so much since I've been here. So when I'm here, it's like, oh, let's go to a winery today. So it still kind of feels vacation like, but I'm starting to kind of get settled in. But yeah, it's a huge change. I mean, it's, going from big city and suburbs and metro area to kind of a smaller town and almost, it's definitely, got a plenty of amenities. It's not like a tiny, tiny town, but it's in a valley and it's not a big city anymore. So it's definitely different. Taking some getting used to, and there's a total different culture too. Like Chicago is go, go, go. And here it's like much more chill, which is kind of unnerving to me because I'm very go, go, go. So I'm like, wait, I gotta calm down. I need to kind of learn to relax a
Relax
little.
now.
Yeah.
Now, how do you pronounce Willamette Valley? Is it Willamette or Willamette? Like, how do you pronounce
Willamette. Yeah, Willamette,
Willamette?
damn it. Yep, that's the way to go. Yeah, and it's
Damn it, Willamette.
right, it's funny.
So, have you had a chance to check out any of the wineries?
Many.
And what are your favorites so
Oh,
far?
good question. So far, my favorite has been White Walnut. It's a small producer in Dundee Hills, and that Pinot just absolutely blew me away. So I keep talking about that one to people. So hopefully it won't sell out before I have a chance to get back there and get some more. That was definitely a highlight. There's so many though. There's really just a ton of great producers. I tend to favor the Dundee Hills, I think because the soil types there. I like what that does for the Pinot. But Amity, Yola Amity's got some great producers. Brooks is down there. Trying to think where else I've been. I've been to probably like just over a dozen places so far. I'm planning to hit, I think, at least 6 more this week. So I'll be adding to my list. But there's something to find everywhere from Pinot to Chardonnay. I've seen some Tempranillo, some Malbec, Cabernet Franc. There's just, I think people kind of get this idea in their head that Willamette's all Pinot, but and there certainly is a ton of it here. I'm not saying there's not, but there's a ton of other options too, and it's really kind of interesting to see how all the different grapes and varieties are doing and what people are doing with them. And so it's been a ton of fun.
What's your favorite Oregon wine?
Favorite Oregon wine? Chardonnay.
Chardonnay.
Yeah, they do them really well here. They're very similar. I don't want to say it's always apples and oranges to compare regions, but I would say they're more like wines from Bourgogne, France than they are from California Chardonnay. So it's very much more old world in style, and they have that cooler climate acidity with them that's just like mouth watering, pops in the mouth, and they're just beautiful. So I think that's been kind of my biggest surprise here.
Now, I know you said that, wine is, it connects people worldwide, but
Yeah.
some people like me, when I first jumped into the wine industry, it was kind of intimidating at
Oh yeah, it
first,
still is.
What do you say? What do you say to the novice who wants to just come in and drink some wine? Like,
Just do it. Yeah, and don't worry about it. There's no bad questions. Everybody's learning. If you get, you get some of the snobbery, just ignore it because it's out there. I mean, no matter how, and like, I still get it. And it's, whatever. You're going to have that in any industry. I think once if you're really into an industry, whether it's wine or beer or food, whatever it is, you're going to find some of that and you just gotta ignore it. I mean, it's meant to be enjoyed. It's meant to be, consumed with food, with friends, and to enjoy and have a good time with. So I think just ignore it and just have fun. Find what you like, ask questions, explore, try new things, and just keep at it. There's just so much to kind of discover, and I feel like everybody's journey is kind of different and unique. And that's okay too. I still have questions all the time. And in my classes, I still get tons of questions. And then I still have questions. If I can't answer it, I have to go ask somebody. So I think it's just one of those things like you don't know what you don't know until you ask and, just have fun with it. It's meant to be enjoyed.
so tell us about, you mentioned you have classes. What do you
Yeah.
do? What are those classes, and where
Oh
can you
my
find them?
gosh, I've taught a bunch of different things. Right now, I'm on a little teaching hiatus since I moved, but I'm going to pick back up with American Wine School. So there, I've taught WSET Level 1. So that's the Wine Spirit Education Trust. And they have a whole bunch of like certification classes to move you through wine, all the way from level 1, which is super basic, up to diploma, which is like almost like an MBA in wine. Like it's super intense. But I love the level 1 classes, and it's similar to some of the consumer classes I've taught as well. And I've done those virtually through a company called Skill Pop out in North Carolina. And they do kind of these consumer classes, wine tasting 101. I'm teaching some for a company called Peppermint right now. And they're just a blast. It's just basically like, how to taste wine, things to look for, what to ask, where to start. Like, yeah, I always tell people start with what you like. What are you drinking right now? And then figure out why do you like it? What is it about that wine that you like? And then that's a great starting point to start to venture into other things. And then once you know those words and those phrases of why you like something, like maybe it's the acidity, maybe it's the flavors. Once you know that, then you can start to ask those questions, at the wine shop or at the sommelier at a restaurant. And you're going to start to get, so many more options. But it's a
See,
blast to teach. Yeah.
that's my biggest problem. I have no idea how to taste wine. Like, I pretend, like, I'll look over at my fiance Amber. She's from Paso Robles,
Oh,
California.
nice.
She's a wine.
Awesome region.
She's a wine
Yeah.
connoisseur. Yeah, Paso. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, it's
So
incredible.
amazing.
But like, I'll find myself, when I'm at, wine tastings or whatever, I'll just look over and kind of like peek over. You know how when you were younger and you had those like recitals, and then you didn't really know it, and you had to peek over at your friend to
See
kind of
what they're
pretend
doing?
like you knew what you're. So that's
Totally.
what I do. Like, I'll go, I'll stir it,
Yep. Yep.
I'll
Yeah.
stick my. I can't tell people like, yeah, it's cherry, oaky, vanilla. I can't tell strawberry from
Oh,
vanilla to
no.
pepper smoky. Like, how do you do that? How do you refine, how do you
Oh,
teach someone
practice.
how to taste and smell wine and what they're
Yeah,
tasting?
it is totally practice. And
practice?
I personally, I think it's super subjective. We all have different noses. We all have different palates. We all grew up with different sensory experiences. So like what I grew up with in my kitchen, say like my mom's kitchen spices could be very different than what you grew up with. And so we have these different sensory memories. And so our recall is different too. So where I may get something in a wine, you may have never had it and vice versa. Like, sometimes I'll hear people say, oh, it smells like hyacinth. I have no idea what a hyacinth smells like. I have smelled one now because I found one in my grandparents' garden. I'm like, what is that? They're like, a hyacinth. I went running out there. I'm like, I got to smell it. I'm like, okay, I'm never going to remember that smell for a wine. But it's just about that sensory recall, and all of our senses are just so different. I think there's some basic ones you can kind of start to learn as you start to practice, like vanilla, some baking spices. Those are typical from oak that you get in wine, and you'll start to kind of notice those a little bit more, and it just takes practice. Fruit flavors, they've got all these, flavor tasting wheels out there that are a great resource because you can kind of just like go through and see, okay, no, I don't get that. I don't get that. And then something will jump out like, oh, maybe that's what I've got. And then it's just about kind of recalling those senses. But it takes practice, just a lot of practice. And it's going to be different for
So,
everybody.
so the key is drink wine.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
it.
Right. Like it's
It's
experience, it's science. It's an experiment.
drink wine. I love that so much. That's awesome. So you've been busy. You've
Yeah.
been you've been out and about. You did a couple of trips. So let's
You.
start with one of my favorite places in the world, and a lot of people have this high on their list or bucket list. Let's talk about France. What did you do? Well,
Uh,
you've been to France many
I
times.
have.
Let's just talk about
Yeah.
this most recent
Yeah.
time in France. So, what'd you do? Where'd you go? What'd you drink?
Oh, so for the last couple months, I was in Bourgogne, Burgundy. That was in March. And then I also went to Loire Valley and then Languedoc Roussillon. So three very different regions. Drank in Bourgogne, a ton of Chardonnay. That was kind of the focus of that trip. So we were mostly based in kind of the southern region of Burgundy or Bourgogne called the Mackinac, and a lot of Chardonnay down there. So I did a lot of tasting of different vintages just to kind of get an idea of what they're doing and how like the different villages have different flavor profiles because of the different soils and little microclimates. So that was really cool. Loire Valley was next. That's up in kind of northern France, and it's this huge long valley. We just really focused on kind of a tiny portion for this trip. A lot of Muscadet. We had a lot of Chenin Blanc, a lot of Cabernet Franc, which happens to be my favorite grape. And that's where it's home. So it's like, that's its birthplace, Cabernet Franc's birthplace. And it's where it's kind of, where it really kind of took hold and originated was the Loire Valley. And I was in heaven. So that was a ton of fun. And the Loire is just so rich in history. Like it has all the old chateaux still that are just, they look like Disney castles. I mean, you walk up and it's like, they're real. Like people actually lived here at some point, and they're just incredible. So you have those as the backdrop, and then these small, quaint little villages, and this huge wine region all around it. So that was super amazing. And then off to Languedoc Roussillon, which is in the southern part of France. So very different. Over 300 days of sun down there. It's more Mediterranean. It was my second visit there, so I was really kind of excited about because the first time I was there, I fell in love, like head over heels. Like this was one of my favorite regions in France. So I kind of wanted to see, okay, having been to a bunch of other places, how is I going to feel? And I still feel the same way. It is just such a dynamic region. They're doing a lot of GSM blends, so Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre. You'll find a lot of those in Paso, actually. In Rhone, they're like similar in style, so big, heavier reds. But then they're also doing, some, higher elevations. They're planting the vineyards up higher, so they get a bit more of a cooler kind of climate impact. So you're getting a bit more of those lower alcohol, fresh, crunchy, high acid wines too. And that's the cool thing I think about that region is you have so many young winemakers coming in and really trying new things and experimenting. And, they've traveled the world, they've made wines in other places, and they're coming back and implementing some of those techniques that they've learned while still holding to that tradition too. And it's kind of like a Wild West almost for French winemaking because, France has a lot of appellation rules where you have to follow the grape guidelines, the winemaking guidelines. And in Languedoc and Roussillon, I think you're really seeing kind of a pushback on that. They'll make those, but then they're also playing with other things to say, well, this really works well here too. Let's try that. And they're really, I think, changing that region a ton because it used to be known for kind of bulk wine. They produced a ton of, high quantity over quality wine, and they were one of the major French producers. They supplied most of France with their wine. And you're seeing that dial back a ton and a big focus on quality and really diving into what they can do well. So it's still one of my favorite spots. Plus the sauce.
So someone comes to you and says, "Hey, I want to go to France and I want to just do
Oh,
I want to drink some wine in France." Would you recommend someone just sticking to one region or hopping around to different regions? What are your favorite regions in
goodness.
France? Why? And
Yeah.
what would you what would you recommend someone do if they just wanted to jump into French wine?
I would say it depends how much time they have. If they had, 2 weeks, I would jump around.
Around.
Yeah, for sure. If you don't have that much time, then pick one region and stick to that, really kind of get to know it. Your classic regions are going to be Bordeaux and Bourgogne, Burgundy. I keep saying Bourgogne because they're trying to get people to say Bourgogne again instead of Burgundy. So, kind of fun
Oh,
fact, it's the only French region that they've translated to English. So, Bordeaux has always been Bordeaux, but the region of Bourgogne, they translated to English to say, so it's Burgundy, but it's the only one. So,
but why?
I
Why
don't
did they do
know. I
that
think to
first?
make it easier and make it like so people actually understood it better when they were shipping it to the UK and the States. So they're trying to bring it back to Bourgogne. So that's what I keep saying. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try and help with this. It is Bourgogne, but it's Bourgogne. So those are the two big like classic regions, and then Champagne, of course, that I think most consumers know or have heard of. So those are always great spots if you want to like if you're, really kind of wanting to understand French wine. There's so much history there and there's so much to explore. But then there's all the other kind of not lesser known regions, but that maybe don't have as big of a name as Bordeaux or Burgundy. So you've got Loire Valley, you've got Languedoc Roussillon, you've got Alsace, Jura, you've got Southwest France. I mean, there's so many places to explore in France it's incredible. But really one of the cool things I think I've seen there more than any other place is they have each region, each appellation has a kind of a wine tourism board or a kind of a consumer organization. And a lot of them have like tourism centers just focused on wine where you can go visit the tourism center and they can walk you through the history. They've got samples of the soils, they've got, geology and geography and all the different, wine tasting notes you might find in the wines. And then they usually finish with a wine tasting too. So it's kind of a cool introduction to each region. So if somebody wants to get really geeky and kind of dive in that way, that's always an option. And then there's, of course, all the wine trails. So those are always kind of cool too.
Wine
Wine
trails. What's that
trails.
about? What do you mean? Just are you going for a stroll? Or are you
Oh,
driving
you
to the
got to
wine trails?
drive.
What's that about?
Sadly,
You got to drive.
they're a bit spaced far apart, but they have little maps. So you'll have maps of different places, and it's usually you have to be a member to be a part of the wine trail, similar to how we have here in the States. Like we've got all kinds of wine trails, right? And so you're on a map, and it's just easy to kind of find the places, and it'll show you the opening hours and the visiting hours and what types of wines they have. So it's a great way to kind of pick and choose if you don't know like where you want to go. And one of my favorites happens to be in Languedoc as well. And I think because it's one of my favorites because I haven't seen anything like it anywhere else, but it's an all female winemaker wine trail, which is really like, I don't know, that was just cool when I saw it. I've never seen anything like it. And there's about 20 of them on there. But if they're not just a wine trail, they're also an organization and they help each other out. So like one year, I remember one woman's vineyard got decimated by hail. So she lost her grapes. She had nothing. The group pitched in money together to help her buy grapes so she could still make wine. Like they work together, they get together, they taste each other's wines, they collaborate, they try and, improve and make each other better. And it's just got a good feeling to it too, which is kind of cool.
So what's the name of the woman
It's
owned
the
that owns the
Vinifie.
winery?
Vinifie is the name of the wine trail. So French, yeah,
Oh,
female winemakers.
definitely
Vinifie, yeah.
definitely have to check
Yeah,
that out.
they're on
Absolutely.
Instagram and they're awesome.
So if you could pick one bottle of French wine
Oh,
right now to drink, what would it be?
hmm.
Who's doing it the best?
I'm a champagne girl. Yeah,
Champagne?
I will pick
Okay.
champagne all the time. Either that or Chardonnay from Bourgogne. Otherwise, I'm going with a red from Languedoc or Cab Franc from Loire. Yeah, I don't know how to pick. I don't know. I don't
You
know.
can't just pick one.
Pick one.
I like for you to pick one. It's
It
impossible.
is totally
So
impossible. I can't do it. I can't do it.
you can tell you're a wine
Right?
person.
Yeah.
I
Like,
love that
there's
so
just too
much.
many. There's too
Champagne.
many.
Now, when people say you can only get true champagne from the Champagne Valley, is that true?
It is unique. I will say that. It is technically you can only call it champagne if it's from that region. But that's not to say like other sparkling wines aren't made the same way. You just can't call it champagne because it's not from that region.
What What would happen if someone called their drink champagne? Would the authorities be
They
called?
will. They will. Yeah. There's actually, yeah, it's
That's
similar to port. Like you can't call port anything that's made in a port style port unless it comes from port. So they've got a
wow.
lock on those names. And it's, again, it's a brand that they're protecting, and it's, their region. But their soils are very particular there, and the climate's really unique, and, cool climate, chalky soils, a lot of just, and all different appellations in there that are doing different things. So yeah, I think Champagne tends to be a bit special, but it's not to say you can't find fantastic sparkling wine other places too.
One of my favorite. We did a spontaneous trip when we were in
Mm.
Paris. We decided to go to the champagne, which is
Yes. Oh,
incredible.
it's
And I
amazing.
and we went to and I can never pronounce it
Oh,
right.
I
And
won't
Amber
either.
always makes fun of me. It's Veuve Clicquot or
Yeah, yeah,
Veuve.
yeah, yeah.
I don't even know. And for years I couldn't even say it right, and it was just embarrassing.
Oh
But
god.
it was such a special trip because you go down into the wine caves, and they speak in French to you, and it's just an
Yeah.
incredible
Yeah, and you're like in the environment, and you just it's amazing. And there's so many
I love it.
producers on that street. It's just like, oh, Champagne
It's
Avenue.
incredible.
Yeah.
It's just
It's amazing.
you feel like you're just doing something
Right?
special. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
And that's what
So
only
let's
like
go back
a
to
45-minute train ride from Paris, right? Like it's
yeah,
easy
yeah,
to
it
get
was
to.
easy.
Yeah. Easy.
Saw this beautiful church,
Yep.
and it was just we didn't know anything. We did no
Oh yeah.
research. We just
No.
like let's just get tickets to this, and it was just brought some. We still have some bottles
Awesome.
left over from that. We drank.
Oh,
We saved the bottle.
awesome.
Commemorate,
Awesome.
but
I love it.
so
I love
incredible.
it.
So let's circle back to home now.
Yeah.
You did an epic road trip
I
a little
did.
while ago.
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
Got
What'd
back
you do?
Sunday night. So I picked my son up. He goes to college at University of Colorado Boulder. So he was done with the school year. So picked him up, and we had planned to come back, drive up north through Wyoming, Montana, and cut over Washington and down to Oregon. But the weather was like, there's a bunch of snowstorms in the Rockies. I was like, I don't really feel like driving through that. So we just decided, well, let's go west and make a road trip out of it. And so we had no plans, no idea where we were going, didn't have any hotels booked. We just kind of started driving, and when we saw stuff we wanted to see, we stopped, and then we just kept on going. And so we did, I thought it was 2,090 miles, but I just got my car rental receipt back and it was actually 2,300 miles. I'm like, all right, we just did a little more than we thought. Like, oops. We did all of Utah. We drove through Utah, Nevada, corner of Arizona, California, and then up the coast to Oregon. And it was just, the landscape, how it changes is so dramatic. And so, I mean, you have everything from these, forested mountain regions with, snow peaks and all the pines, to all of a sudden you're just in this, desert with, salt flats and nothing, like, an occasional bush of flowers that just happens to grow in the desert. And 105 degrees. So we went from snowstorms to 105 degrees. And it was just like, this is just amazing. But it's just so cool. I mean, these Western states, the landscape out here is just, it's incredible.
So had you been to have you done that trip before? Have you been out to like Utah, Nevada, California, those parts
I
before?
have, but not this particular drive. So this drive was totally new. Death Valley was new. We did Redwood National Park, and then Yosemite. Those were all new. So a lot of new stuff, and it just, did not
That
disappoint.
was your first time to
Yeah.
Yosemite?
Yeah. And
What'd you
oh
think?
my gosh, we just had a couple hours, but just the drive through, like you see waterfalls on the drive, and just these, pullouts that are just these expansive valleys and mountains, and so many waterfalls that just, and everything was in bloom. So it was beautiful. It was amazing. Amazing.
That and that's funny. Your son goes to
Yeah.
Colorado Boulder. Amber's nephew goes to Colorado
Awesome.
Boulder.
How cool.
Yeah,
Nice.
I know. So
You'll have
maybe
to
next
connect them.
time you all
Yeah.
can like
There we
carpool
go.
because they live in Hood River. So maybe you can
Perfect.
carpool
Perfect.
next time.
Love it. Yeah.
That
Cause it's a
that
drive.
is
Holy cow. Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is
It's a
it is
drive,
a hike.
but it's
That
good.
is absolutely.
But it's good.
You're a world
Yeah.
traveler, but I'm gonna
Oh
ask you a
no. I
question. It's gonna be
know.
a tough question. Where is your favorite place to travel and
Oh.
why?
Ugh.
And is it because of the wines?
Ugh.
It's gonna be a tough one, so you
Mm.
have time to think
Yeah,
about it.
this is super oh, it's so hard. It's like picking one wine. I don't know how to do it.
If you had to go to one place, one place.
Oh, God.
I know it's the
Can I
toughest
just say
question for
Europe?
people who travel. You're on. Nope, nope.
Too broad, too broad.
That is not allowed.
I wanna say
You can pick a country.
All right.
It doesn't have to be a city.
I think today, Italy. I would say Italy today, but it'll change. Like I bounce between France, Spain, and Italy, but today it's Italy.
All right, well, it may seem like a silly question, but why Italy?
Everything about it, the culture, the wine, the scenery, the small towns, the big cities. We spent a summer there in 2016, and I had been there once before, but just kind of did all the tourist stuff. And so like really diving in while we were there that summer was just I don't know, that it's just so soulful and alive, and everybody's just got so much passion for everything, and I just love it. And there's every drive you took, it was like this is like could be on a calendar page. Like this is just this other like it everywhere you look, it was just like this is real. Like this place exists, and it's just beautiful. The old castles, the rolling hills, the cypress trees, then you've got the seaside, and I just love it. I just love it.
What's your favorite part of, now I'm gonna
Oh,
yeah,
narrow it down even
more,
more.
what's your favorite?
My heart's in Umbria, I think, because that's where we spent the summer and just had such a blast there. It's very similar to Tuscany, but a little less on the tourist heavy side. And just some fantastic wine producers. The town of Perugia is there, and the jazz festival was there when we were there. And so we got to see, like, just randomly, we had no idea. We don't plan anything. And so it just kind of randomly found that. And then this whole like underground cave, like it was an old city, and it's all in these underground caves, and they had the jazz, like different jazz quartets playing around in there. And it was just so amazing. So my heart's still in Umbria, I think.
Don't you love it when you find those little
Uh,
nuggets that, you didn't expect?
Oh
And that's
yeah,
what happens when you can take those deep dives and
exactly.
stay in a place and get to know it.
Exactly, and just wander and not have, any plans, and it's the best.
Thoughts on Italian wines? What are your thoughts? What are your recommendations?
Love them
Do you
all.
love
I
it? Like,
do.
what
I
okay.
actually have it's tied between because when we moved, I had to, like, do all my cellaring stuff, and it was tied between French wines and Italian wines, so they were
Oh, really?
yeah,
Okay.
yes, I have an equal amount. Well, I actually had 2 more French wines, but Italian wines, I just love up and down the whole country. Northern Italy, you've got a lot more of, like, the higher acid wines, the lower alcohol because it's cooler, more mountainous up there. Franciacorta's up there with some amazing sparkling wine, like, so good. Tuscany, of course, just all the Sangioveses, the Chianti, Brunellos, it's just delicious. Then the further south you go, like Campania, which is like near the Amalfi Coast, their Alianico is a red wine that I just could die for. That's amazing. And some really beautiful white wines there too. They're just like perfect. Like they definitely like say I always say what grows together goes together. So like seafood type wines. They do a lot of like misto there, so a lot of fried seafood. And these white wines are just so good with it. Yeah, all over Italy. And that's actually where I'm heading to next. And that's why it's on my mind. So I'm excited for that. I'm ready.
Can you see the jealousy in my face when you heading over there in the summertime?
Yeah, June 2nd, so coming up quick. I have a couple weeks of downtime, and then I'm back off again.
Now you going over there for fun, work,
Work. So,
both?
well, I've added 2 weekends on either end in Rome, so I can just have some fun. And then during the week, it'll be a press trip to a new region, which I haven't been to, which I'm very excited about.
Ooh,
Yeah, heading to Abruzzo. So Montepulciano di Abruzzo is the red wine there, and I'm very excited to kind of dive into that.
your pronunciation is so
I
spectacular. 'Cause I would just mess those up
Oh, don't ask me
can't
to do
even.
French pronunciations. Those I just butcher so bad. Italian and Spanish, I could usually figure out.
So what are you looking forward to most on your trip to Italy?
Gosh, I would say, well, definitely diving into the new region because I don't know enough about it, but I've had the wines. I tend to think Montepulciano di Abruzzo wines are a great value, and they haven't had a bad one. They're generally, they're not all going to blow your mind, but like for a Tuesday night red to pick up for like around $15, it's perfect. So I'm kind of excited to see where those are, made, learn more about the region, some of the producers, and then just to see some old friends that, in Italy, go see some of my Italian friends and hang out and drink wine and enjoy life. So it's the way to do Italy is just
The
enjoy.
great, just old friends in
Yeah,
Italy.
right. I know. Yeah, never would have expected to say that ever in my life as like growing up. Like never would have expected. I like seriously, I pinch myself every time I go anywhere. It's like it's just I never take it for granted. Never take it for granted. It's
That is
amazing.
amazing.
Yeah.
So what's the best wine right now? If anywhere, who's
Ooh,
making the best and why?
hmm, good question. I think it depends what you're into. Like, if you like it, then that's the best wine right now. But for me, I would say I got to plug the Finger Lakes because it's just my favorite U.S. wine region, and I think it's just getting better and better every year. When we talk about U.S. wine regions, they're so relatively young compared to the rest of the world, right? Like Napa didn't really kick off until the 60s and 70s, which isn't that long ago in terms of like wine world stuff. And then in the Finger Lakes, yeah, there was some winemaking a couple hundred years ago. Like they always go back to those old stories, but like it really didn't kick off until probably the 70s or 80s. And it's in the last 10 years, it's taken off even more exponentially. Like they're figuring out what grapes grow best, how to grow them. They've got a bunch of talented winemakers there and the wines are they're incredible. I think it has a reputation for its Riesling. A lot of people know it for that, but they are doing some amazing like Bordeaux red blends, some Cabernet Franc, some Gamay. I've had some there is outstanding Chardonnay. So there's a lot going on, and it's just such a cool region, and it's still affordable, believe it or not. Because wine travel's getting expensive in the States. It's hard. I mean, Napa it's expensive now to, go wine tasting there. But Finger Lakes, it's still very, kind of quaint and small. You've got some high end stuff, you've got some, lower end stuff, everything in the middle, and just really friendly people, great community. And it's a really affordable spot to go check out a bunch of wineries and stock up on a bunch of wine too.
Well, you heard it here first.
Yeah. So get to the Finger
That is the
Lakes.
place
Yeah.
to
Oh,
go.
it's
That
one of
is the
my
place
favorite
to go.
states.
So how's Oregon life treating you? I know
Yeah.
that's a big change from Chicago to Oregon.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how's the adjustment been for you?
So far, so good. The weather's
Did you
fan.
survive? Did you
Oh,
survive the doom and
whew.
gloom of the gray, rainy?
That
How
that
was
was,
that?
that was a little tough. I won't lie, that was a little like, "All right, I'm gonna have to figure out how to get out of here during these months because that was a lot of rain." Temperature-wise, though, it's much warmer than Chicago, so, like, I didn't wear a winter coat since I moved here, which is nice. And February wasn't too bad, like, there were some sunny moments before the deluge of rain hit. Like, the last week's been amazing, like, it's sunny, it's 80, it's beautiful, I've got no complaints, I'm good.
It has been incredible, and now you're going to be leaving during the
I
best part.
know, I know. Yeah, I gotta time these trips differently. Like, call me in March and February.
Once it hits like, November, you're new to it. December, you got the holidays to
Yep,
distract you.
yep.
January, February, it's just get me out of
Oh,
here.
man.
Let's go somewhere. We
Yeah.
have to go somewhere every year to somewhere sunny.
Yes, yeah, just to get a little dose of sun because it does, I mean, it got to me in Chicago too, so it's that's not really a new thing. I definitely have that seasonal affective thing and need my sunshine. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is a passport file to ask everyone this. When did you get your first passport and where did you go?
Right at the end of college, got my first passports and did a 2-week tour of Europe, one of those bus tours with my college roommates. So we graduated and left for Europe and bounced around. And it was, I don't know that I'd recommend a bus tour across Europe, but
I was gonna ask you about that. How
yeah,
was the bus
I
tour?
don't know that I'd recommend it, but we were 20 and had no money. And it was just like, why not? And it was a great way to see like all the big sites. So I feel like we knocked those out. So I could kind of say like, okay, I want to go back here, but I don't need to do that. I want to explore, what I missed there. So it was kind of good introduction because I had never been out of the country before. So it was cool in that sense and just, a good time with the girls. But the bus
Did
aspect
you stay
was
in hostels?
no, I would say, okay hotels. St-
You ain't go to hostels
Okay.
or no? Have you ever stayed in a hostel
I
before?
haven't. I haven't, but I'm not opposed to it because I am going to walk the Camino del Santiago one day. I am going to do that. So,
So tell us what is that? What is that?
it's a pilgrimage across. It starts in the Pyrenees in France. There's a bunch of routes, but the most famous route starts in the Pyrenees in France and comes down into Spain, walks all the way across Spain to the coast, the Atlantic coast. It's about 500 miles, give or take. Takes about 40 days to do it, 35 to 40 days to do it straight. So it's,
And did you say you're
I'm
gonna
going to do it one of these days. I'm going to do it.
did you say walk?
Walk. Yeah. You just walk.
Walk.
Yeah. Days.
You're
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna do it. Yep.
you gonna walk it?
I'm gonna walk it. Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. People do it
So
all the
that
time.
that to
Yeah.
me, that would be incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
We were,
so what's the best season, and when do
oh,
you do that? Is that like a summer? Because it's hot in
yeah, it
Spain. Like
does get
summer,
hot. I don't know. I don't know what the best season is to do it. I'm just going to do it someday.
it's gonna do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's exciting.
We prepped for it a little bit during the pandemic. My husband and I walked, we did 500 miles in 40 days that we walked just on like our little like trail. We just kept like just to do it. And we'd open a Spanish wine every night. That was like our pandemic distraction. Like, all right, we're going to walk 500 miles in 40 days. And as a reward, we get to open Spanish wine all the time. It was
That was your
awesome.
pandemic.
Yeah.
That's what saved you during the pandemic.
It is. Yeah. We would walk usually like 6 miles in the morning, another, 6 to 8 at night, and work during the day. And yeah, we got our 500 miles, and it was intense. Like, yeah, it'll be, I think that, to do that in Spain will be definitely a really cool experience.
Yeah, because I went to. Have you ever been to Spain in August?
No, no, but
Don't.
yeah. I have been to
'Cause I
Arizona in
remember.
August. I'm assuming it's kind of similar.
Oh my,
Yeah.
oh my goodness. I remember sitting in Madrid,
Oh,
and we had got this Airbnb. It was
Madrid.
we had the whole top of the
Ah.
Airbnb rooftop, and we had all these plans to sit on the top of the rooftop and drink wine.
Oh,
But
yeah.
then it was 105 degrees,
Oh, yeah.
so I don't recommend
No.
doing
Okay. Okay.
anything
In
there
August.
in August because it was
Little too
so
hot.
hot.
Yeah, a little too
It was
hot. That's why they put Coke in their wine sometimes in the summer. Have you heard of that? Like, seriously, they'll put like red wine and they'll add Coca-Cola to it as like a
no. I'm
refresher.
glad you specified
Yeah.
Coca-Cola.
Yeah. Coca-Cola. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a family show, ma'am.
Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola. In the wine.
Coca-Cola
Yeah.
for all
Yeah.
you
Coca-Cola and the red
listening.
wine. Yeah.
In case anybody from my work is listening.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the other stuff. I just know they put Coca-Cola in there.
Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola and the red wine. Yeah, it's like I haven't tried it. I don't know that I want to do that to my red wine, but on a 105-degree day, maybe.
That is interesting because I know we had this drink. They would put beer and then mix some like squirt or whatever,
Oh,
like
yeah.
mellow yellow
Yeah,
kind of
a
drink.
shandy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
We drank that up when we were in Spain.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it was
Yeah, that's
I
tasty.
wouldn't drink. I don't think I would drink it anywhere else. Like if you offered me that
Yeah.
in Portland,
Real
I was like,
thing.
get that out of
Just
here.
give me the
But
beer.
in Spain, it was just like it was
Yep.
great. It was
Oh, I
incredible.
know. Sometimes it's just you're more open to things when you're somewhere else. It's like, yeah, I'll just try it. Why not? It's just part of the experience.
You got to do it. Now, I'm a huge soccer fan or
Nice.
football
Yeah,
fan,
football. Yeah.
and I saw you with the Lionel Messi
Yes.
little jersey on.
Yes.
What's going on with that? Are you
Argentina.
Argentinian fan, or are you like what's going on with that?
I would say I was kind of a passive football fan. Like I will occasionally watch the World Cup, but I happened to be in Buenos Aires during the World Cup, and it was amazing. And it like the fever took hold. Like you're just in it, and you are the oh my gosh, it was amazing. So we watched I think the semifinals, the quarterfinals while we were there. So we weren't there for the actual final game, but we were there for the two before. And it was just incredible just to watch that like in a bar in Buenos Aires and just the energy and like city shuts down. Like schools were let out, businesses closed. There was no traffic on the streets because everyone was in front of a TV. And it was amazing. It was so much fun. So yeah, I became an Argentina fan.
Hey, you couldn't help but
Oh,
become an
yeah,
Argentina
like
fan.
it's just
Why
oh
not?
my gosh.
You know?
Plus their wines are good too. That
So
helps.
tell us about Argentinian wine because I was going to ask you that. 'Cause
Yeah.
I drink wines, but I don't really know of any Argentinian wine. So
So many good ones.
what's good there? What makes it special? What's going on with there? Is there a lot of, I'm sure there's a lot of different regions. Right?
Yeah, a lot of different regions. Mendoza is the most popular one. It's the most exported, most well known, and they're known for their Malbec. Tons and tons of great Malbec down there for all different styles, and you can have like light, juicy ones to like the heavier, more like ageable types. But they're really doing just a lot. They're doing a lot of rosé. Their Chardonnay down there is beautiful. Cabernet Franc and Cabernet Sauvignon do really, really well. So there's a ton happening. And it's just a spectacular place. That was probably one of my most impactful trips in terms of like, you always hear people say it was life changing, but I feel like that one was like it changed something in my, I don't know, my soul or something. the way I felt there, the way I felt when I left there was just different than any other travel experience I had. And then another region is Salta. It's up in the northern part of Argentina and up in the mountains, high elevation, and the stuff they're doing up there. It's less developed than Mendoza, so they don't have quite as much of the modern technology there yet, but it's really kind of starting. And they're doing some just really incredible stuff. And I think you'll see a lot more coming from that region in the years to come as they kind of, keep growing and developing. And then in terms of like the wines and the country overall, the amount of time they have devoted into soil studies there, it just blows my mind. I mean, they really know from plot to plot the different types of soils. So they're working to like, figure out what's going to grow best in that soil versus that soil. Water management there, because that's a huge issue. If you don't have water, you can't grow vines. I mean, it's scarce. It's hard to find water there. So that's kind of an issue. But it's just the amount of research that they are doing into, kind of the terroir is just really impressive. And
That's
and the
amazing.
culture. The culture was just incredible. Yeah.
And I love hearing that because that's what travel is all
Oh,
about. We
right.
go there to,
Yeah.
to change
It's,
something in our souls.
it's yeah.
That's when
Oh,
you know you've traveled well.
exactly. Like something just changes. It was magical. This whole desert experience and it fueled just something. But a cool Willamette Valley connection to Argentina. So while I was having dinner in Argentina, talking to a winemaker there, and it happened to be like a place I fell in love with the wines, a place called Duragati, talking to the winemaker, and he's like, "Oh, my buddy makes wine in Willamette Valley." And they'd gone to wine school together. And so he's here, Vulcan Wines in Willamette Valley, and he's from Argentina. He just did the Malbec in the City Festival a couple weekends ago, where it was all focused on Malbec from Willamette Valley. And so he's kind of leading that. And it was just like, oh my God, this whole like connection. And it's through wine, of course, it just connects. Yeah.
I love hearing that, and it's so interconnected. No matter
Oh,
what part of the world you're
yeah.
at, it's like the love of wine.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
incredible.
It really is.
Oh, that's so awesome. So, other than Italy, what else are you up to?
Oh, this week I'm going to do a lot more Willamette Valley tasting. And then I'm going to head up Memorial Weekend, heading up to Columbia Valley, Washington. So we're going to get to see some old friends there. That was actually my very first press trip when I got into wine was Columbia Valley. So kind of going back to where it all started. Yeah, then Italy, Spain after that. And then I'm gonna kind of hopefully settle down for, the summer and kind of hang out a little bit in the new house and maybe we'll see. And
But
then
where are you
yeah.
going to in Spain?
We are gonna be in Rioja, Ribera, Rias Baixas. So we're gonna hit a couple of the wine regions and then we're just gonna take a week, my husband and I, and just spend it probably in Madrid, maybe Burgos, and just like not go to any wineries, but there will be wine involved, I'm sure. But just like, see Spain and just kind of hang out because we've never been without the kids. So it'll be our first like solo trip without the kids.
Ooh,
Yeah. And like,
parents are going
yeah,
out.
exactly. Exactly. We're going to all the places we couldn't go when they were with us. So like all the places we're like, we have to come
Uh,
back and go there. So that's what we're going to do. Yeah. It'll be amazing.
oh,
Yeah.
that is so
Yeah.
awesome. That is so great. Well, Christy, I can't tell you how thankful I
Oh my
am to have
gosh.
you
No,
on.
I appreciate this so much.
You've forgotten more than I've ever known about wine, and that is great. Just the knowledge that you have, and I
No.
look forward. I love your posts.
Thank
They're
you.
so just insightful, so detailed, so much
I
information,
appreciate that.
and just an incredible amount of knowledge and passion and love. You can tell that you really love what you're doing, and
Love
that
it. Yeah. Love
shows.
it.
And, and that's what I love about you. So, speaking of that, tell us where we can find you. If you the multiple many
Multiple,
places we
yes.
can find you online.
So Instagram is my big one. I'm on there pretty much every day unless I take a little bit of a hiatus, which isn't often, but I do. And that's at Kristys_wine travels. And so that's where all my wine stuff kind of lives there. I'm also on LinkedIn, and on LinkedIn, I'll post less often, but it's a lot more educational focused. So more kind of regional deep dives or a producer deep dive. Whereas Instagram is a lot more just kind of everything. My stories, you've got kind of what's happening now, kind of real time. And then my posts are kind of, where I've been and just past things as well as some current stuff thrown in the mix. American Wine School for classes. If you want to get into some wine classes, Skill Pop as well. Anybody that's in, I think it's like 50 and up, Peppermint is a new platform that's out there launching all kinds of community classes for, people that are approaching retirement and looking for new hobbies and new things to do. So I'm there teaching wine as well. And then Willamette Valley, come, if you're here, let me know. And happy to go wine tasting.
Well, and we're not gonna have to make a trip out
Yes,
there
yes,
to come
yes.
visit.
And at
We're gonna have to
Harvest, I
do.
will be at Ricochet Wines. They're a local winery here in McMinnville. So I've been hopping in the cellar with them. So that'll be hopefully my harvest spot. So
Well, that
uh,
that we're gonna have to make
yes.
sure we check that
Yeah,
out.
you'll
And
love it. You'll
also
love it.
next year when I turn 50,
Yeah,
I'll have to
there you go.
work on peppermint.
There you go. Awesome. Awesome. I love it. I love
Something to
it.
look forward to when
Right?
you get 50. There you
Yeah,
go.
we got things to look forward to
No
now.
midlife
Right? Oh,
crisis. I'm gonna drink more wine.
exactly.
Keep
We're gonna, this is when we start to live, It's, yeah, it's just a good
That is
time.
so awesome. Well, thank you again. I really
Oh,
appreciate it.
thank
You
you.
were awesome, the best, just so cool, and I'm jealous of all your trips. But I will live vicariously
Hey,
through all of your
as I do
travels.
yours
Thanks
often
so much.
too. So I'm like, oh, where is he at now?
Yeah, we're exploring just locally right now.
Nice.
We're taking a break from the big international because we're going to do
Awesome.
some big things next year. So
Ooh,
we got some
excellent. All
surprises. Maybe
right.
Brazil might be in my future.
Oh, never been. That'll be awesome. That will be
I can't
awesome.
I
And then you'll
for
have to
that.
let me know about Brazilian wine because I know nothing about it. So,
I will might even bring a few
all
bottles
right,
back
there you
next
go.
year.
There you go. I love it.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank
And I really
you.
appreciate you being on. Now, you can find the Passport Files podcast on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and everywhere you listen to your podcast. Please make sure you like, subscribe, review, and share with your friends. You can find me on Instagram at the Passport Files Pod and Worldwide Bride. And on YouTube, we can see the full video and interview. So thank you so much and
Thank you.
cheers.
Cheers. Have a good one.
Thank you.